agents that the 49ers have right now, Rohan, what are some of the must signs for the team? The guys that they can't let walk in free agency that they have to sign?
So I think honestly there are a couple of must signs, especially. I mean, you'd expect that with the amount of free agents this team has, because a lot of players on this team were signed to 1 year deals last year or were on expiring deals that ended this year, and also that's not accounting for the fact that guys like Nick Bosa and Debo Samuel are eligible for extensions and likely get them, as John Lynch was mentioning during his postseason press conference. But looking at the free agent list, the guys that I really think are key free agents in a way are Laken Tomlinson and DJ Jones at the moment. Like those are the two like highest priority free agents on my list. And the reason is, well, first of all, for Laken Tomlinson, I don't think like we can keep him as a priority on my list, but I think that it's without a doubt that he gets re-signed. Laken Tomlinson actually has a dead cap hit of $1.2 million that incurs on February 15th, which is why I expect the extension to be done over the next 3 days. Because if the 49ers don't have that, his contract voids and they lose that 1.2 million regardless. And especially if you're going to extend a player anyway, there's no reason to take on that additional cap hit for your 2022 salary cap table when you need to divert that money elsewhere. So I think that Laken Tomlinson, he's got the support of his teammates. He's played at a Pro Bowl caliber level, and he's also been a very consistent player for the 49ers. I think he's started in every game that he's played, and he's played in a numerous amount of games for the 49ers over his 5-year career here. So I think that he's dependable. He'd definitely be important for Trey Lance because Trey Lance probably requires some continuity on the offensive line, especially going into his first like legitimate offseason as a starter. So I think that it like all the dominoes fit for Tomlinson to return. In addition, he's got the cap hit that or the dead cap hit that hits on February 15th, that void. So I think that an extension not only should happen, but is likely to happen for Laken Tomlinson. But
and let's stay on Laken before we go to DJ Jones, because I like some of the points you made. I didn't know about that dead cap hit, so that's why we bring you in, Rohan. You were the capologist, you were the analytics guy, so that's awesome, because that is, I think, even more than DJ Jones, Laken Tomlinson to me is kind of like do or die. You have to bring him back into the point where it's like lock him in a room and don't let him leave till he signs the contract that he's coming back with the 49ers. And the reason why, Rohan, is something you mentioned, his health. You know, if you look at all of the offensive linemen that the 49er has, he's the only one that consistently could stay healthy. And especially in a team that has been ravaged with injuries over this tenure, you can't let go a player that just consistently performs and consistently is healthy. Another thing is I think he works really well with Trent Williams. And he's still, relatively young. I think he's, just turning 30 or a little bit past 30 or a little bit under 30, something like that. But he's still going to be good for another, 3 to 5 years, which is good with the timeline of what Trent Williams is going to be as far as at his peak as well. So I think if you can just sign somebody and just not have to worry about the left side of your offensive line for the next, let's say, 3 years minimum, I think that you have to do that. That's a no-brainer. The other thing is, and the biggest reason why I think you have to sign Laken Tomlinson is the 49ers are terrible at drafting offensive linemen. It is one of their biggest weaknesses. Not only do they, I think they just scout the position extremely wrong. Like if they take an offensive lineman, there's an offensive lineman that they could have taken that is much better. Or if they take a different position, like last year they took slipping my brain, the defensive lineman that never, Javon Kinlaw, they picked Kinlaw when Wirfs was there. So they're not even like scouting the position the right way. Last year, they took Aaron Banks in the second round when they could have had Creed Humphreys. Creed Humphreys had a, off the charts type season. Aaron Banks didn't even make the field. So I'm just not extremely confident that the 49ers can draft the position well at offensive line. The 3 best offensive linemen we have right now are Trent Williams, Laken Tomlinson, Alex Mack. None of those were drafted by the 49ers. So I think it's extremely important that the 49ers re-sign Laken Tomlinson, just because it'd be extremely hard to replace him, because that's just a weakness for the 49ers as far as filling that hole.
Yeah, I agree. And the last point you brought up, it's an interesting point because a lot of this 49ers team, right, is built through the draft. When you look at the quarterback of the future draft, when you look at the running backs, they're either undrafted free agents or they were drafted by this team. And then receivers were all drafted, tight end was drafted, and like the one place where you can't really say that the 49ers really drafted was offensive line, in that they traded for Trent Williams using draft capital. They traded for Laken Tomlinson. They signed Alex Mack. The one guy that they did draft was who do you call it? Mike McGlinchey with the top 10 pick, which also was a little questionable at the time, given that. But I mean, he was a fit in the system. And then at right guard, I think Daniel Brunskill. I don't know if we drafted him.
No, he was drafted by
undrafted
Atlanta.
too.
No, he was drafted by Atlanta, and they picked him up in free agency.
Got it. Yeah. So like a lot of the offensive line, or like all the offensive line, we personally did not draft apart from Mike McGlinchey. So looking at it, yeah, I mean, I think there's a fair argument to say that 49ers really haven't had a strong track record with offensive linemen. Laken Tomlinson, yeah, you said it. He's currently 30 years old. I think he just turned 30. So what, a 3-4 year deal, putting him into his age 34 season. I think that would be valuable for the 49ers. And I mean, it's not like they haven't seen this like production wane out yet. Tomlinson's played in every single game since his first season with the 49ers, where he only missed one game. And on top of that, we just saw Trent Williams have one of the greatest seasons ever as of any offensive lineman in NFL history. And that was with him being in his age 33 season as well. So I think, yeah, Tomlinson is a key cog on that offensive line. I think you do pay a little bit extra just to re-sign him. And I do think that if Tomlinson is retained, Trey Lance definitely is a little more comfortable in the pocket next year.